All right, next up on the show is Marco Flores, a certified public accountant and the owner of MFCPA, which has got to be Marco Flores CPA, right?
That's open to interpretation.
Really?
It could be some different
It could be
things.
something else.
It could be, yeah.
Something dirty, right?
Something
What I was
thinking of.
Exactly.
Well, I'll share a quick story about that.
Sure.
When I was a kid, I had my mom used to write my initials on my gloves. You know, I grew up in Michigan, so we had gloves and hats and everything. And of course, I had a friend that he saw my initials were MF, and of course, you know, he made a comment that kind of stuck with me, and so I kind of remembered it. And so you can use your imagination
Sure.
on that one.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a stretch, I promise.
The first thing that came
There
to
we
mind.
go.
We're
No,
not
but I
that
think
mature.
most people are going to think, oh, yeah, I can Marco Flores. You know, I was a detective at one point. I actually went through detective school,
Yeah.
and that's what we would call a clue, right? MF for Marco Flores. But I like that
There
it
you
could
go.
mean other things. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It'd be a lot of fun.
It's easy to remember, I think.
Right, right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I like that you're thinking that way too, because
Yeah.
CPAs, I don't know, I don't picture them as being the most dynamic personalities and a
No.
whole lot of fun to be around. But
No, not
how
at all.
are you fun to be around or no?
I don't know. I mean, Heather's been around me a little bit. I don't know. I like to think maybe I am, but I've actually had clients call me and say, so I love the name of your business. Does it stand for what I think it stands for? And I'll be like, it can be whatever you think. It
There
is,
you
you
go.
know,
You
like,
should just own it. That's
Yeah.
I just
exactly
own
what
it,
it
right?
stands for,
like,
right?
yeah,
Spellitout.com, it's there.
Yeah.
like the no BS payments guy. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm your
Absolutely.
mother
There
of
you go.
CPA.
Own it.
There you go.
Mr. Fun CPA, though. That way you
That's a
can
good
say
one.
you're fun.
Okay, you go
Mr.
kids
Fun
friendly
CPA.
with it, for sure.
That's definitely not what it means, brother.
Oh,
Definitely not what it means. So how did you get started with the CPA? So what's that all about? Are you really a numbers guy? What happened here?
So when I was a kid, I was really just into numbers, statistics, all that kind of thing. And of course, you know, when you go through school, they don't really teach you about accounting, right?
No.
Middle school, high school even, they don't
Yeah.
really teach it. So I didn't even know what it was until I got to college. I changed my major probably 5 or 6 times. I mean, I wanted to be actually a physical therapist, more in line with what, you know, in the athletic world, something like that. And then I got into business, and then I kind of fell into accounting. Actually, I took a tax class, and I kind of thought to myself, as I was looking out around the room, everyone else kind of like not really into it. It's like, well, I want to get my accounting degree, so I have to take this class. But, you know, people weren't really interested in taxes that much. I kind of was, so I kind of saw it as an opportunity. Well, if all these people who I'm going to be graduating with want to go down a different path, and this could be good for me. So I don't know. I just like numbers, the way they fit together, and the way that, you know, there's really no gray area. A 1 is a 1, a 2 is a 2. So it's like,
Well, with Common Core math, I don't know.
yeah.
I mean,
this
I
new
would
stuff, yeah, I don't know.
almost like agree to disagree, because I know with a lot of business owners, their numbers are a huge pain point for them. And there's kind of 2 ways to look at it. You can kind of ignore it and hope that there's enough money in the bank to do what you want to do at the end of the month, or you can be really proactive. So what's your take on gaining clarity through the numbers?
Well, I mean, they have to be right, obviously.
Huh?
Like, I know you've had Ahmad on here a few times, and that's largely what he does, is make sure that the numbers are all right. So when they get to the CPA, then it's like, well, you know, we don't have to make so many adjustments and whatnot. But you have to be, as a business owner, working with good information. You have to know, okay, what are my margins? You know, where am I spending too much money? You know, if you have multiple product lines or service lines, you need to be able to identify, okay, you know, which product lines are more profitable, you know, which products are less profitable, and how do I take advantage of this knowledge and really use this knowledge? We can even get into labor efficiency ratios and looking at each employee on an individual level and saying, okay, is this employee making me money, or is this employee costing me money? And so, you know, obviously being an accountant, I'm very, not only very frugal, but I'm very meticulous about where's every dollar going, where's every dollar coming from. And so when I'm working with my clients, you know, that's the mindset I want them to have is, you know, because, you know, let's be honest. I mean, when you're running a business and you're doing marketing and you're wearing 100 different hats, you know, it's easy to fall into that trap of, well, you know, I think I'm making money. I have money in the bank, so we're good. But you don't realize, well, you've got debts. You've got all this debt. You might have $100,000 in the bank. You might have $500,000 in bank. You're not doing good. Your money, your business is bleeding money. And a lot of business owners, they don't even notice these things because they're just stuck in the weeds, which is why they need to hire Heather. But it's like, you know, it's so easy to fall into that trap. And then life happens and it's like, well, I want to live a certain lifestyle. And so I see that all the time too, where it's like, okay, you have a successful business, but you're broke. So let's have that conversation. So it's really.
So you're a lot of fun.
I mean,
You're broke.
I tell people what they don't necessarily want to hear. So some people look at me and they think of it like a trip to the dentist. They don't want to do it, but they have to do it. Other people look at me as almost like a partner for them in their business because that's what I try to be. I don't want to just do your taxes. I want to really help you, you know, understand what are your problems, you know, of course, financially, but sometimes, you know, it's the personal stuff that really causes the financial headaches for people. So, you know, I really try to help them identify, you know, what's really going on here and how can you fix it.
Right. I like to gamble, right? So
I like to gamble, so that's a personal problem.
I see that too.
And that's
ATM,
a big one too.
ATM,
Gambling,
you know,
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, everybody's about read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we all know about the cash flow quadrant. And there's that one visual, I just see it so clearly, and it shows the average amount of taxes each of those cash flow quadrants pays. And the business owner and investor pay significantly less. So without that clarity, that's not going to happen. What are some techniques you use to help your clients be on the smaller percentage end of paying that taxes?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, you know, the number one thing is invest in your employees. That's the one thing that I think every business owner needs to do. Now, of course, if you don't have any employees or if you're like Marc and you're doing the Philippines thing, that's a little bit different. But, you know, I always say your employees are your biggest asset. So,
and that's true even for outsourcing. I mean, because it's like a whole other family of employees. It's a culture. It's just online.
Right. So I think the difference is, you know, implementing something like a 401k or, you know, there's just, you know, every dollar you spend as a business owner is, in theory, it's a write-off, right? It just has to be for a business purpose. So, you know, we do a lot of planning. We do a lot of, you know, year-end planning. Okay, you know, go out, buy a truck, buy a piece of equipment before the end of the year, or whatever it may be. But I think it's really, you know, just making it something that makes sense for the business, not forcing it. Like, okay, you know, some businesses have very low overhead. You know, I'm sure your business, Heather, has very low overhead. Your business probably has very low overhead. Yours has a little bit more. You've got rent and you've got, you know, you've got utilities and things like that. But it's just, you know, identifying those opportunities and making sure it's the right fit for the business and it makes sense.
So real quick, just like curiosity sake, because write-off, it's like a magic word, but it's not. What are some common pitfalls you see in the write-off category that we need to be a little more wary of?
Don't assume that just because you pay for something through your business that it's a write-off.
What?
Especially food.
My wife told me the same thing, right?
The trip.
You can't be buying video games on a business card. What's wrong with you?
It's
I'm like,
educational.
what?
It's education.
Like, well, it's part of my personality. I have to have fun at the job. That's a business expense, right? No?
Well, no, it could be. So there's so the answer is always it depends.
Like
in the accounting world,
like
that's the answer. So I'm always telling people, okay, here's what I'll tell you. Okay, can you write it off? Absolutely. Should you write it off? Maybe not. So I put myself in the shoes of an IRS agent. Okay, I've had a few clients go through audits, and so I kind of know what to expect, what they're going to say, what they're going to question. And so you have to be able to defend whatever it is that you're putting on that tax return. So if you want to claim your trip to the Bahamas, okay, go ahead and claim it, but just understand you better have everything well documented. What was your purpose for going? Keep an itinerary. Did you do, you know, was it like a trade show? Was it something business related? Or let's be honest, was it really just you wanted to take a trip to the Bahamas?
And those IRS agents would eat that up.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have a field day with somebody that did that if I was an IRS agent.
But it's all about documentation. That's what it comes down to. If you can show them on paper, this is what I did, this is why I did it, they can't really deny. I mean, they can still deny you, but you know, there's an appeals process, and you know, so I just say have your ducks in a row.
Well, and I think that comes to having you as a partner rather than just the person that you throw all the documents at last minute in February when the deadline is in April. If you're working with your CPA as a partner, that's something you can be like, hey, Marco, can I take a trip to the Bahamas? And
Right.
I don't know, though. I spend a lot of time on TikTok, and I'm thinking that
Oh, no.
TikTok, oh, you may laugh, right? But isn't there, Marco, true or false, that you can get a lot of great advice, tax advice on TikTok? What?
You can get a lot of advice on TikTok. Whether it's good or not. It's funny because there's a YouTube compilation of people giving just the absolute worst advice on TikTok. You know, I call them TikTok accountants. I think we used to call them armchair accountants or something. But now with social media, everybody has a platform to say stupid things.
Yep.
So let's be honest. So, you know, it's very easy to be fooled because you really don't know, okay, is this person legitimately, do they know what they're talking about? Or are they just repeating what they heard from somebody else? Or are they just telling you what they want to hear for followers and for views?
Right.
So you really have to be, you know, take all that advice with a grain of salt. Like some of it I'm sure is good, but a lot of it I've seen some crazy stuff.
Like what?
I'm kind of curious too.
What's the worst advice you've found on TikTok?
Yeah, like I opened an LLC, and I bought an Escalade, and I took a trip to Vegas, and you know, just all these things, and you know, people try to like, you know, write off just anything and everything, and sadly, most of them are going to get away with it. That's the thing, and a lot of that falls on the IRS just not having the, I guess, processes in place to really like catch these people. So it's
well, if
like,
I'm being honest, I don't really care if the IRS
I know,
catches me.
right? We're all kind of
I think we're all in that boat.
It's like, really, they don't? Good.
But they'll catch us
They'll
doing
catch
it.
us.
They won't catch
they'll
those
catch,
guys on
they
TikTok.
won't catch the Escalades.
No.
You know,
But that one little video game that I write off, they're going to audit me.
3 years
exactly.
later, they're going to be like, why'd you buy that video game,
Yeah.
Mark? We can definitely audit from
What's
3
that
years
about?
ago.
That's right. Yeah. Now you owe us
Diablo
$1
4
million,
came out. It was something
Mark.
I had So, Marco, great discussion. I love this kind of conversation. It's great environment. We had a great show today. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can call my office at 210-245-5678.
Cool. And are you on social media at all or no?
A little bit, you know, not too much.
What do you post on social media?
Hardly anything,
Hardly
honestly.
anything? Like
I'm
pictures
really
of
not
you
on there.
hunting or
No, I
calculators?
Really
I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm not a big social media. I don't have an Instagram. I don't have a Twitter. I don't have, TikTok or anything. I got a Facebook. That's about it.
Yeah.
People who are licensed professionally, they tend to want to stay away from social media because it's like one little wrong move and they're going to get all a bunch of hate mail.
Well, and CPAs are in demand. Like you guys are,
Big time
you
in
tend to be
demand.
a little less like visible and available to people. And I think that's why shows like this are so valuable because getting someone to like actually come and give advice that's not TikTok and questionable is huge. And then you can't find them again. That's
And
why
to
it's
that
so
point, I'm at the point now where it's like I kind of don't want to be so accessible. So the more you're on social media and the more followers you have, I mean, I've had people like Facebook message me tax questions, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't call my office.
Right.
Send me an email.
We need an engagement letter.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we're coming up on
Yeah.
a
Not a
shortage,
TikTok
right,
accountant,
of
like-
CPAs. People don't want to be CPAs, so there's not as many of them.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different world now. With testings and with
Well, the
everything.
tax laws.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe we had a world without social media.
Yeah.
Like even YouTube was. I'm thinking it's been around forever, but it really hasn't been around forever.
No.
All right, we got to wrap up, though. So as we wrap up, a quick reminder to check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. It's going to be it for us. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Y'all have a great week.
You too.
Mark.
All right.